Hello and welcome to my show, The Awakening, here on WGSN-DB, the Going Bold and Going Solo Network. The information and opinions expressed on this show are just that, the opinions of the individual speaking based on their individual personal experiences. They are not intended to diagnose and do not constitute professional advice or recommendations. So, you know the people and the pain of divorce, the stress that the divorcing people go through and the struggles both men and women deal with in their divorce. Well, there is a way to find sanity and assist the lawyer in the legal process, saving thousands of dollars. My name's Tina Huggins. I'm your divorce coach specialist, divorce planning specialist, restorative family mediator, and conflictual co-parenting coach. And that's my job. And today I am graced with two of the most wonderful human beings in the world of divorce. We're graced here with Mandy Barr and Deanna Coyle, and they are the driving force behind Vesta Divorce. And I am excited for our conversation today, ladies. So welcome and thank you for being here with me.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. What a pleasure to see you.
What a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. It truly is my pleasure to have you guys because I was a member of Vesta for a little while, and because of stuff, I ended up backing away from Vesta for a little while, and Mandy and I have been working on the Colorado Vesta team, trying to get that Vesta team up, and I'm super excited because I'm planning on being the divorce coach in that team. So I will kind of let you guys tell our viewers what Vesta Divorce is and how it works.
Yeah, I think it's best coming from Deanna, seeing
Yeah,
that it was really her brainchild.
Yes, and I recently moved to Colorado. Literally just moved into a condo in Denver this last weekend. I love it here. But I was living in Massachusetts when I went through divorce and started Vesta. So I went through a very challenging divorce that was finalized around 14 years ago. And it was, unfortunately, the divorce was very expensive, contentious. I had young children at the time. I had given up a high-paying job to be a stay-at-home mom, and I had no idea where to turn, what to do. And I did what a lot of people are told to do. I hired an attorney, and luckily she was an amazing attorney, and I proceeded to use her for all my different things. Instead of having a wonderful divorce coach like you, Tina, and having, a certified divorce financial analyst and the right professionals in the right areas. So that was one of the things I could have done better. But what it did was brought me to start these programs. And we've been doing these programs for over 10 years. We have webinars that people can attend that cover different topics that are very informative. Mandy and I are in the concierge, so we talk to people every day. We've talked to thousands of people who are thinking about or going through divorce and help guide them. And that's been incredibly rewarding. And Vesta has helped over 10,000 people at this point. So I've been very lucky to be able to take something that was such a challenging time in my life, but actually brought me to a great place and be able to help others do the same thing.
Awesome. So Mandy, kind of tell a little bit of your story.
Yeah, so fun fact, when Vesta was kind of in this like incubation phase of being developed, Deanna and I actually worked together at Sentinel Financial Group. I was helping them with some marketing. And so I was there when Vesta was born. So it really feels very special to me to be able to see it 13 years later and how it has evolved and changed. But unfortunately, nobody wants me playing with their money, Tina. So I was not going to go down the track of being a financial advisor. So I stepped away for a couple of years and went back into my first career, which was was a lunch lady. I was the lunch lady. I mean, food service management, but I like to say I was a lunch lady because I can sing the Adam Sandler song. Anyways, 5.5 years ago, Vesta started to grow and Deanna reached back out. Well, we were very good friends by this point, but reached back out and said, hey, we really could use some support. Vesta is growing. And I was definitely getting completely fried out. Pun not intended here. As like just working in food service, it's just bananas if you've ever worked in a kitchen before. And yeah, and it was amazing. It was such an easy transition, and it has been from like the moment I became part of the organization again, I knew I wanted to do the work in the concierge because that's really the soul work, being able to connect with people on a one-on-one basis, and they allow you to hear their story, and you can create a roadmap for them to help get to their best beyond whatever that may be for them. And it's really such an honor to be able to watch people's journey and watch them evolve, and be able to connect them to amazing resources like you so they can begin to heal and build their team.
Yeah. And I know, like, in Vesta, when I first got involved in Vesta, I was on one of the outside tiers, and I would go to some of the meetings with all of the people that didn't, like where Colorado is sitting right now, where they don't have an actual team yet in Colorado. And I got to meet some really wonderful people who I still communicate with now. But what I enjoyed is that we had in Vesta, we had, 1 month that one of us was in charge. And so the months that our financial people were in charge, I loved to listen to what they had to say, because what they had to say helped me learn how to direct my clients to the CDFA or the money manager, or how that, because we needed to know which was the best 50-50 split of the monies that were in different pots.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And that's such a common thing that professionals will say, that the team around them makes them a better, divorce coach, attorney, mediator, insert profession here, because they get to hear the other professionals speak, as well as they have this team that they can rely on and be able to refer their clients to if they need assistance.
Right. And they can focus on what they do best as well.
Yes.
Right. My poor attorney, trying to act as a therapist or financial advisor when, that really wasn't her forte. And also she was very expensive ones, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's the most expensive therapist you can have.
Right, right.
And the most untrained,
And exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things when I come in to work with people, that their biggest concern is, well, team, what do you mean a divorce team? I have to spend money on all of you? It's like,
Right.
it's important for them to know that the divorce team is to support them as they go through that. But you don't have to have every one of the professionals Vesta supports on that team. And in some cases, like in my specific clients, they need to have a litigative lawyer. And that is one of the things that I liked about Vesta, is that when we had our meetings, we didn't have just one. We had a litigative, and then we had a lawyer that served as the traditional lawyer or worked in a different aspect that wasn't in the conflictual side, which is awesome, because not every divorce needs a conflictual type of attorney.
Right. Yeah, because you specialize in that high conflict space where your clientele really needs to have that voice for them because there's been a power imbalance in the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've had people say a lot too, oh, I have an attorney, I'm paying them so much already, I don't have any money to hire anyone else. But really, when you have a divorce coach, when you have a certified divorce financial analyst, a realtor that specializes in divorce, helping you, you're actually able to go through the process more efficiently, less expensively, with less stress.
Mm-hmm. I loved working with the attorneys that I worked with on my team, and when I was in Massachusetts. The lawyers were just very good at what they did. I think every one of us were very good at what we did, because Vesta vetted us. We didn't come in with check marks in bad places. We came in with stars because of the vetting process of Vesta. So Deanna, can you kind of explain that process?
Yes, absolutely. It was soon after Vesta was started, we realized the importance of vetting our professionals and doing it in a more structured way. So it starts off with, a conversation or someone attending one of our interested professional webinars. And then we have interviews. They fill out a lengthy application that really helps us get to know the professional better. And really one of the most important things Mandy and I like to find out is somebody's why. What really makes you passionate about what you do? And most of our professionals have had some experience with divorce, either themselves or someone close to them. So they can really understand what it's like. So when someone's talking to them, they could they know that that person understands and has been in their shoes before. And then there's a background check. So it's a process where people are vetted, and when people who are looking for resources and professionals to know that we have that process in place makes them feel a lot better about knowing that they're trusted professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and the vetting process, it's not just professionals who are really good in their field, because we want them to, obviously to have that expertise, but also the kindness, the care and the compassion that is so important to people who are going through such a stressful time, and the passion, right? The passion of helping people through that situation.
Yeah, and I think the other big is the collaborative nature of the professional.
Mm.
Do they like to work in a team environment? Do they like to lean on other experts when necessary? I know specifically one client that you worked with, Tina, the attorney who also supported her. She told me, I don't want to work with people unless they have a divorce coach, because they're organized. They're like, they come to me ready to do the legal work. They've processed their emotional divorce with Tina, and, they're organized and they're ready to go. And I think that that's just such a testament to, everybody staying in their lane.
Yeah. And it's super important. I know that a lot of people think that hiring a divorce coach and an attorney is just extra money. But in the reality, like I had one client and I just put a post together on this specific client.
Yeah.
He the emotions ran overboard, and his ex took 120 plus $1,000 out of their bank account, and they didn't find it right away. And then as soon as he found it, he would run to his attorney with all this distress. And he spent 3 years and $180,000 to find out only that she took the $120,000 and used it as living expenses. That's not what really happened, but he didn't have the best legal team for his situation. He needed a different attorney as his attorney. This was a traditional collaborative type family attorney, and he needed a litigative attorney. So after his divorce was over, he came to me, and it took us just around 18 months. And it took he and I 9 months of getting his foundation pieces relaid because they were in such a disarray. So he and I worked for 9 months. Then I went out and found him. I think one of the very best attorneys I've ever worked with, and he's there in Colorado Springs. He's the one that I keep referring to that I haven't been able to talk to because of a situation dealing with my late husband, actually.
Oh, wow.
In the whole process of this, he saved. I was able to go through and look at what he was spending on his attorney. He saved $100,000.
Yeah.
Paying for me and the attorney I went out and helped him find. So it's a point of saving them time. That's where a lot of the money is saved. If you get rid of the emotions and you deal with it, like we say, get married with our heart and divorce with our head.
Ah, yes.
If we do that, then we've saved our money.
Yep. And I think those case studies are so important, right? To really help people understand and see it in black and white, because it's counterintuitive to what, what you would think.
Yeah, definitely. But all of this, happens because of Vesta Divorce and other companies like you. But Vesta it's been there the longest. It's very strong. It's got a great foundation. I love the way that you vet. So your organization specifically has all of this knowledge that people can go out and just sit and listen to all the knowledge.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be Colorado's or Massachusetts or South Carolina's. It can be any of them, and they can get a list of questions that they can go to that divorce coach with and ask questions now.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that Deanna and I have put together recently was this divorce interview guide, because we do think it's important that people interview, a couple of attorneys, a couple of CDFAs, a couple of coaches, to really make sure that whoever you're bringing onto your team is the right person and is in alignment to your values and, your goals. But people, like, time and time again, would say, I had my consultation, but I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know what questions to ask. So we put together this guide as just a helpful tool for individuals so that they can use that free consultation wisely.
Right. And some people also are, paid for consultations. I had somebody who came to Vesta, and it was an attorney outside of Vesta, but they said they paid a lot of money for an hour of time with them, and that they only used up half an hour of the time that they paid for because they ran out of questions.
Right.
So she bought our interview guide, but we've had people all these years asking, because when we connect them to professionals, they say, I don't even know what questions to ask, or I want to make sure I'm really prepared so I can make best use of my time with them.
Mm-hmm. I know that, having been a part of Vesta, when I have struggled, I've gotten a hold of Mandy, and I say, Mandy, I need a lawyer, a litigative lawyer in this area. Because if I'm going to refer somebody, I would rather refer a vetted Vesta individual than a random person I go and kind of research on my own, because you guys have already done that research.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that is, it's helpful to our community and it's helpful to our professionals, so that you're not, kind of scrambling, as well as if, you have a situation where you have a client that's in a different state, being able to say, hey, do we have somebody in Illinois that can support this client? Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I've enjoyed, being able to get a hold of you, Mandy, and just know that you, if there is a lawyer in that area, that you will get me that lawyer's name and contact information, but most importantly, that I know they're vetted. I know that they already have compassion and that they're already good at what they do, because you guys have already checked them out. And you're the first one, when I have that question, you're the first one I get a hold of. I don't get lucky enough to talk with Deanna as often as I do.
You can always reach out to me, Tina. I always have my cell phone on me.
I love the fact that I can reach out to you and get a vetted. And that's what I tell my clients too. This is a lawyer that's been vetted by Vesta Divorce.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And we also lean on you guys as well, because you do take clients, all over the country, really the globe. We have cases where we'll have individuals, and this is, COVID did a lot of things, but one of the things that it did do for us is it really allowed us to help spread our message wider by, using, being able to leverage the, Zoom webinars. So we have folks coming from all over that, we may not have, a hub yet in a location, but we know that you gals and guys have connections all over the place. So knowing that we can also lean on you as well for people that you've worked with and that you would vouch for. So it's definitely a partnership, which I so appreciate.
Yeah. And the attorney that's in Colorado Springs, he's I've had him with a couple of clients already, and he is just a rock star. All my clients are like, hey, and I I struggle with trying to find him on any of the platforms because that's not his forte.
Interesting.
He's a legal nerd. And that is exactly how I explain him. He's a legal nerd. When you talk to him about anything other than legal, he fumbles through his words and doesn't come across like he knows much about obviously the topic because he spends so much time just on his legal practice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it definitely does take a special person to be able to present well on the webinars because you're talking to yourself, because we maintain the privacy of the attendees. So it's like, oh, how do I look? Do I have any spinach in my teeth?
So, so one of the things that I do want you to explain is that I know when you would make referrals to me, it would come with all of the concierge information. So could one of you explain what that phone call is like from beginning to end?
Sure. Since I built the concierge team and Mandy's been amazing in the concierge team with us, I knew she'd be so awesome. It's really, so I think in the beginning of the phone call, I always just start by saying, I went through a very challenging divorce that was finalized 14 years ago. And, all the mistakes that I made, I knew there had to be a better way. And so I put together these programs that help people get through it in a better way. I just tell people I've been through it and what my passion is to help people. I tell people that I'm so lucky now that I'm on the other side and living a wonderful life, and my kids who were young at the time are grown. So I share just enough so that they're like, wow, she's been through this. She's on the other side. And they can tell when they talk to Mandy and me and our other concierge specialists, they can tell that we care because we truly do. And also, I think it's important that we explain to them, how Vesta is set up because people are so, well, not trusting, right? Like they're going through divorce, and the person they trusted most now is, the person that they're having this conflict with, or however they're going through it. Even if it's amicable, you still have your own, side in terms of what you're looking for. And then we find out about them, like, what is your situation? And we tell them what they tell us is confidential. I think that's really important. And then also when we do share, with the information that we get, when we share it with the professionals, we get their permission. And I've actually never had anyone say no, because I say, you're going to have this time, and it's often complimentary. Most of our professionals offer an initial complimentary consultation. And you don't want to have to spend, the majority of your call going through your backstory. So, and anything that you or I tell the professionals is also confidential. So that makes everything a lot easier because then they can go to you. You have more information on them and their situation, and they don't have to go through that again. But I think the fact that they know that we have the experience, we've been through it ourselves, we've been building Vesta for 13 years, and that we truly care and we have their best interests at heart. We in the concierge don't have any services that we're looking for them to hire us for, and we don't get referral fees. So as soon as people know, oh, you're neutral, you're not benefiting from whatever I take from this call, then they say, just tell me what to do because you know what you're talking about, and I can tell that you care.
Yeah, and your 2 cents on that, Mandy?
Yeah, no, I echo everything that she says. I agree that there needs to be a level of, into me you see. So we're establishing an intimate relationship with strangers. And if we want them to share with us with their heart, we have to share a little bit about our story and what we went through and the mistakes that we made and why we're so passionate about what we do as professionals. And yeah, no, I haven't had what I have had is professionals say, I'm not professionals, the our clients say, I'm not quite ready to meet with Tina yet, but could you send me her information because I'd like to read up on her on the website, or I'd like to check out her website. And, we're obviously always happy to do that. And then when they're ready, we would make that warm introduction, or even better, book the appointment for them on the calendar. And, because we don't want anyone to feel rushed. And I like to tell people that we work at their pace. Sometimes people call with their pants on fire and they need somebody right away. And then some people are still in the contemplating stage and they just need that space and grace to work through it at their own pace. And I think that Deanna and I both always start with, maybe working with a coach to help you, determine, are you ready? And I've actually, seen where sometimes a coach will say, you know what, you're not quite ready for me. You really need to be in discernment, or you really need to be working with a therapist, and kind of like bringing the client back to, where they're at, and then we're meeting them at that spot. I just think that that's really important.
Yeah. I do think that that's important. And I know that the people that you have referred to me, because we work in the divorce arena, those people a lot of times need days, weeks, and months before they hire anybody, because
Right.
they're so scared, because there's just, and so being able to reach out to the concierge and have a kind listening ear that's letting them vent really helps. And I know that when you send me the notes, I know as if I was on that phone with you
Mm.
exactly what's going on with that client. So when I reach out to them, I can reach out with the compassion that they need and touch base. And it's many of those clients come in and they'll hire us as professionals. And then later it's time to hire the attorney or the CDFA. And so then we go back to the concierge. I go back, in my case, I was always dealing with you, Mandy, on that. And so I'd say, okay, now it's time for whatever.
Right, right. Yeah, and that is one of the things that when people are like, I don't really know where to start, where to go, I'm like, okay, well, what keeps you up at night? Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll tell you what
right.
keeps me up at night. I don't know how I'm gonna blah blah blah. Like, that's where we start, or I just don't want, So I think that just asking thoughtful, curious questions to help get to know them better helps us discern like where's the starting point. But it's always a good bet to start with a coach.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's where we save them the most money.
Right.
Being able to get their foundation laid, their divorce foundation laid, is huge. And sometimes it'll take us 3 sessions to get that done. Sometimes we can get it done in one. That's very rare, but if we can
Yeah.
get it done, I like about the 3 sessions time for me, because then I know what type of
Yeah.
lawyer they're going to need. I know what their soon to be ex is like and how they've responded. And so then I'm able to say, in this case, Mandy, we need the litigative lawyer, or the specific litigative lawyer that I was working with there in Vesta.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so with all of the stuff that, I've been out, my husband's been almost gone a whole year. And so I've been out longer than a year. So what new has gone on with Vesta?
Yeah. We launched a podcast for real. I know you were a guest.
Oh,
You were a guest for us. You did a vlog, which was amazing. And we took it one step further, and we're doing the Dishing on Divorce podcast. So like on Apple and Amazon and wherever you listen to your podcasts, Dishing on Divorce. So we're super proud of that.
it's been very fun. It's something that we've been wanting to do for years. We actually
Yes.
picked the name Dishing on Divorce 2 years before we started it.
Because we were
And
taking that class, remember?
yeah, and then we took a class, and then we're like, you know what? So many, and it could be around divorce or anything that you're looking to do. Like you're like, oh, I have to have everything just right before I do anything, or I
Mm,
need to have the inspiration, but actually taking the action, learning, that can be inspiring and propel you to where you want to be. So we just were like, we're just going to do it, and it's been really fun. We think it's really important that our podcast is informative, of course, inspiring, and a little entertaining. So, like, since Mandy and I are besties, like we'll kind of like chit chat too, but we always want to make sure that there's some key takeaways for people. And we have it's a mix of Vesta professionals, non-Vesta professionals, and people who, like, just yesterday we had on a mediator who was with Vesta. She was amazing, Amanda Singer, and she left because of life situation. She had a baby, she grew her practice. But so we have a mix, and we have a lot of people reach out to us who want to be on. So it's really helped us meet a lot of people as well. And Mandy and I like to talk about, like, so far we've had 4 authors, and we always read the book beforehand. So we're like, okay, at least we're, educating ourselves and
Yeah.
reading
I've read more
books.
books in 2025 than I have like in the last 5 years. And we've also had some guests on that are, we, call them Vesta graduates that used our services throughout their divorce and now are going on to live their big lives. And it's like just mind blowing that, we had somebody on who's starting a living in community in Massachusetts for women that are, transitioning out of marriage, a supportive living community. We've had somebody who started their own coaching business and got into real estate. Somebody that's launched a menopause group. I mean, it's so cool to see like
Ah,
these individuals, what are they doing in their 2.0s?
Yeah, I just reached out to a bunch of my clients that had gone through, were done with their package, was with me, and had situations. They knew that my situation with my late husband was
Yeah.
in the way, so they didn't want to reach out. But I reached out to several of them today, and I have meetings set up with them because their divorces are still not final. And
Oh, wow.
happens when the divorce coach steps out of the picture or somebody lets the divorce coach out, because then you sit there with your questions and your emotions and you
yes.
don't move things
Yeah.
forward and you stick your head in the sand. So it's super important to keep things moving and
Yeah.
to create the life of their dreams like you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also been, expanding. I think, with COVID, um, there's pros and cons. The pro was that it really, because we had been talking about doing webinars for years, and all of our events were in person, and we just didn't take the time to figure out, like, how do we start doing this? And then with COVID, we had no choice. So that first week of COVID, we changed everything to webinars, and we realized so many more people were coming to our events, and people from all over the country. So that really, helped us expand, but we expanded pretty quickly. So I think what we learned from that was, now we reduced in size. Now we're starting to expand again, but doing it with all that we've learned. And actually some of our expansion is from professionals who are already in one hub, and they love Vesta so much, and the whole approach and the team, and the hub members that they get to know, they suggest, starting another hub. And then also just places, as we have people reaching out to us and like, oh, we have a lot of people reaching out to it in Colorado. We really need to have a team there, right? So we'll have someone who then, like you, Tina, who gets to know people and other professionals, and who's really good, who will then introduce them to us.
Yeah.
Mm. And I think the other part of it too was that we didn't really know what life was going to be like post-divorce. I mean, post-divorce, post-COVID.
COVID.
And I think that we had opened these, to Deanna's point, yes, it was quick and there was so much backlog and like the court systems, and it was kind of like everything got like clogged up in the pipes too. So I feel like things are, as crazy as the world is today, like back to normal in terms of like, people being able to get a reasonable time frame for court appointments and those sorts of things.
Yeah. So Before we start to close up, I would like to have one or both of you guys explain how your months kind of go. I know that I was in a single hub, and so I don't know how those, the talks go. Because in our hub, we had the CDFA talk, then we had the divorce coach talk, then we had the attorneys talk. So if you could explain that, I would be grateful.
Yeah, sure. I'll start and then Deanna can add to it. So we started a couple of years ago picking events like through the year, which allows us to be able to have several months posted at a time. So we try to have at least 3 months posted for all of our locations because typically what happens is a person comes to an event and then they're already thinking about the next event that they can go to. So we found that doing the event planning, the year before, a couple months, really kind of allows for us to have like a big picture flow of things. And, in Massachusetts and California, where we have multiple hubs, we try to make sure that all the programming is different so that in the course of a month, somebody could see a variety of different topics that may be of interest to them, obviously, depending upon where they are in the process. And, we've also tried to bring in some new topics based on what's happening in the world. So,
Yeah.
coercive control is like a really big thing that's happened in Massachusetts with passing of a law in September of 24. So, one of our locations just recently did a presentation on that, and it was very well attended. And I think that, it definitely will do it again next year. So trying to keep the subject matter relevant also based on what's happening in the world.
Yeah, so we have our standards that, standard events that we started with, like the ABCs of divorce, we partway through, we started doing top 10 divorce mistakes, but we do have like the legal focus, the financial focus, the real estate focus. And then we also will have hub members suggest new topics. One of our hubs, I think it was at this point, it was over 2 years ago, they said, let's do something on narcissism. And oh my gosh, that was our first event we did on that. And we had like over 100 people register. And now we offer that several times a month. And it's always one of our more popular events. It's one of the things too, when people call us in the concierge, I'd say 80% of the people say my spouse is a narcissist. So whatever varying degrees or whatever, high conflict behavior there could be, people are like, they just know the term narcissism, but that attracts people.
Yeah, it does. Keyword.
Yeah, I know. We're also working on some new topics for 2026 that, just to kind of keep things fresh and new, because we really would like to have a membership platform where people can, pay a very small fee, but be able to watch recorded videos. And then obviously we would still follow up with them as normal in the concierge and then be able to work with them so they help them connect with the vetted experts. But, it's something that we're hearing time and time again that people really want the recordings and they want to be able to like watch them when they have, time to themselves and not necessarily when it's on the schedule.
Right.
Well, that's good. And being able to understand what's going on with Vesta, being able to access that is super important. So as we start to close this down, that's what I want for you guys to explain to us is how people can find Vesta. It'll all be in the show notes below us. And I know that you guys have got both of your bios that'll be in the show notes below us, and you're sharing the Vesta phone number as the phone number to contact you. But explain to us how they can get a hold of Vesta.
I think the first thing is to go to our website, vestadivorce.com. And there's different tabs. So there's a tab where they can look up our professionals. They can look at what state they're in, and they could see the different professionals there. They can also look, there's an events tab. So they can go to that and look at, what events we have coming up. And then there's concierge tab too that talks a bit about, us as the concierge members, our stories, and how we can help, and also can sign up for a concierge call with us. And when people call us, they often say it was so hard to make the call, and they're so glad they did, because they always feel better and more hopeful.
Yeah.
Anything else about finding us, Mandy?
Yeah, no, I think that is great. And if anyone happens to have a pen in hand, they can also just call us directly at 877-355-7649.
Awesome. So for the viewers, I'm a certified divorce coach, meaning that I'm trained in the complexities of divorce. I've also personally been through a high conflict marriage. My father was almost murdered in his second marriage, and my late husband went through abuse as well. So not only am I trained in divorce, I've also experienced the divorce and the violence and the abuse that can come in from the background. And you can reach me by contacting me by my email at coachtinalynn@gmail.com. That's CoachTinalynn@gmail.com. My website is divorcecoachspecialist.com. You can also find me on social media on Facebook under Tina Lynn Huggins, Huggins, on LinkedIn under Tina Huggins, Instagram, Divorce Coach Tina Lynn, and TikTok under Divorce Tina. So I always like to ask for a little bit of advice. So Deanna, can you give our viewers some last minute advice here?
Yeah, so a couple of main things. One is that when you are in a situation where, you're not happy or whatever it is, it doesn't mean you're going into divorce, but to reach out to us, find the right professional so that you can make your situation better, whatever that is, and to not be afraid to reach out for help. So many people really have that hold them back, and the more information they have, the more informed decisions they can make. And what we talked about earlier is one of the main things I always tell people: to really, choose your professionals wisely, have the right professionals in the right areas, and make sure what does a divorce coach do? How can they help? How can a certified divorce financial analyst help? If you need a realtor, do your research, but find someone who has experience in selling a house through divorce. Don't, hire your neighbor who just sells houses but doesn't have that experience. So really, to have the team, whatever that looks like for you, that's going to best support you.
And Mandy, what's your advice?
Slow down. Breathe. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Very good. That's like awesome advice. So, and my clients and my viewers, the biggest thing that they've got going for them, that's their biggest concern, is the money. How much is this going to cost, and why do I need to pay for more than one professional? And I can tell you, by reaching out to Vesta Divorce and listening to what their professionals have to tell you in their webinars, and to be there and ask questions, you can do that through their Q&A. By reaching out to Vesta, you can definitely find answers to those questions and realize just how important the divorce coach is, and having the right attorney for your situation, because not all attorneys are one size fits all. And
Right.
realtors, just like you guys said, those are really, really important things.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity to share what we're passionate about.
Yes, it's been wonderful talking with you, Tina.
Thank you. Many people, including myself, get to a point when they're going through a divorce where suicide becomes part of their thoughts. So if you are at that point, I urge you to please call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's real simple, 988. The National Suicide Hotline is 988. Please call them. Have somebody on the other end that's very much like these two wonderful ladies to help talk you off the ledge. And if you're in the Netherlands, that number is 113. We have people from the Netherlands that actually come to the show and watch the show. So that's important. If you are dealing with the situation where you need the police there, call 911. In the UK, it's 999. In the Netherlands, it's 112. Get the police there. Press charges. Once you press charges, that's your key to exit an abusive relationship. Press the charges, and I beg you, do not drop those charges. Let them follow through. If you drop the charges, what has happened to date is going to be worse once you drop those charges. I want you to stay safe. The domestic violence hotline is 800-799-7233. Again, that number is 800-799-7233. And I ask that you please like, comment, and share to help others. And I want to thank you, wonderful ladies, for joining me here today. This has been an awesome conversation, getting the word out about what Vesta is. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
And here Mandy is with her little hearts.
Aww.
We'll talk again really soon.
Yes, thank you. And we'll see you next.